The ASUS ROG Swift PG65UQ big format gaming display is a beastly piece of tech. Announced a couple of years ago, it is meant to be the ultimate display when it comes to gaming and packs some of the best display tech you can find in the screen right now. Think of it as the gaming monitor you have on the desk, but just far more superior and damn huge. Coming in at 65 inches, it is not a desk monitor, rather meant for gaming setups with a couch, a decent sound system, and of course consoles and PC plugged into it. You will fry your eyeballs if you try to sit close to this display like you would a PC monitor. While the display is fantastic and features some phenomenal tech, the main idea of it is to replace a TV set. Does it? Well, not really, as there are still some drawbacks to owning it. I look for a handful of things on a TV, including Netflix, Anytime Plus features, which allows you to control your sound system with one remote, and just the overall ease of use that makes it possible to do everything without ever getting off the couch. The display is also limited to its output, so the things like Dolby Digital Plus did not work at all, forcing me to use the mediocre built-in speakers when using my Apple TV. But for every downside, there was an upside. The display has almost perfect black levels, even better than my Samsung QLED, the HDR is magnificent, and the PC features like 4K 144Hz are a dream come true. It also boasts NVIDIA G-Sync Ultimate and an array of PC settings to overclock the display. In short, while this may not be the best TV on the market, it is the best gaming display, and well done to ASUS for crafting such a fantastic device. Of course, this all comes at a pretty steep price tag of $79,999, which is hefty. Sure, the tech inside is monster, but you can get yourself a pretty huge LG OLED, the best TV on the market, for much less. It won't have the fancy smancy PC features like the 144Hz display or the NVIDIA G-Sync, but the viewing experience will be on par, with the HDR and peak brightness being on the same level. Compared to other ASUS ROG devices, the big format gaming display is subtle. It comes in a massive box which represents many other premium TV boxes on the market and requires no setup at all. You just pull the box open and the TV comes out. You don't even need to connect the stand, as it is already on the display. On the back, there are a load of vents with the ROG logo. The ports are also lined up perfectly on one side, along with 4 HDMI ports, DisplayPort, optical audio out, USB, and there's even a power switch next to the kettle plug adapter. When it comes to TV standards, the device has all the ports you would need, and 4 ports are kind of the max when it comes to most TV brands on the market. The optical port allows for sound output, although limited, and every port supports deep color or HDR output too. As for the stand, it is huge and fits perfectly with the display's design. It has 3 legs that shoot out of the center and takes up quite a lot of stand space. Anyone with a soundbar might struggle to find room for it, as it has quite the wide wingspan. ASUS included RGB into the device too, and to be frank, it's pretty boring. For a brand that boasts the RGB life, the dim glowing logo underneath the display was a major letdown. Gaming setups are all about lights and flare, so they could have easily included some backlit RGBs that would shoot up the wall behind the display. I have my own and they make a world of difference. Hopefully, ASUS will embrace the idea for the next version of the display. Then have the remote, which is a bit of a joke. You pay 80,000 Rand for a TV, and the included remote is a flimsy and limited piece of plastic that you could probably snap in half if you sat on it. I was not impressed at all. Sure, it gets the job done, but it was extremely unglamorous. Lastly, we have the giant 65-inch display. It reaches all 4 corners of the device, with fewer bezels on the top, right and left than the bottom. It is quite reflective, more so than my Samsung QLED, but the brightness, which we will get to later, helps reduce any reflection on the display. There's nothing much to say about it when it is off. It's just one giant black screen when turned off, but the real magic happens when it's on. For the sake of this review, we're going to tackle the device in 2 different parts, one being console and the other one being PC. First, we tweak the display settings. The ASUS ROG Swift PG65UQ has a pretty simple UI with limited settings that range from brightness, overclocking the display, tweaking the eco mode, and a few other settings. The biggest problem was the lack of smart features, as while the display excels in everything else, the UI and lack of built-in apps kinda made this 80,000 Rand TV feel like it came out of 2012. With that being said, the most important settings are at your disposal on the menu. We turned everything to max, including changing the variable backlight to fast to allow for perfect black levels, enabling deep color for all the ports, and changing the game mode to FPS. We wanted to make the most out of the display, which meant everything had to be tweaked and the menus offer enough room for movement to enable a great viewing experience. It also helps that the display has a fantastic quantum dot panel with some of the best local dimming I've ever seen on a non-OLED screen. At times I could not believe it, so I walked up to the screen to see if the pixels were turned on, and they were not. There was no glow around white objects with a black background, and no sign of the dimming zones flickering up and down as the display got brighter. It truly is OLED performance on a quantum dot panel, and the results speak volumes when playing and watching content on the display. First and foremost, the ASUS ROG big format gaming display is made with PC gamers in mind. ASUS has taken all the great tech from some of its best monitors on the market and put it into a giant display. It works, and it works damn well. Most incredible of all is the fact that the 65-inch display has 144Hz support with NVIDIA G-Sync, HDR and amazing black levels. If you put all of that into perspective, the display is unworldly, as even the best monitors on the market are still limited to specs. To find this combination, all in a huge display, is a real design triumph. What this means for PC gaming is that you will get the best of the best no matter how you approach your setup. The most ideal would be to make use of a DisplayPort cable. We plugged in our Acer Helios 500 into the display and it automatically enabled everything we needed. As the ASUS ROG Swift PG65UQ is one of the only NVIDIA G-Sync Ultimate displays on the market, it means that the display covers all the fancy features including HDR over G-Sync, 1000 nits on bright objects, higher contrast ratios, and of course ultra low latency gaming. This is all thanks to the built-in NVIDIA chip that powers the experience. We put some games to the test and tried to focus on those with HDR capabilities. The best bet was Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Destiny 2 and Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Sure, the Helios 500 with its GTX 1070 would never be able to output 4K at 144Hz, but we were ready to lower the settings and tweak some things just to see what 144Hz on a 65-inch display looked like. Think about your 144Hz display if you own one. Now imagine that at 65 inches. That is the experience on this wonderful display. Games performed as well as the hardware could take them, including zero latency thanks to the G-Sync Ultimate features. We never got anything to max at 4K 144Hz, but who can? That sort of settings demand a great amount of power. So much power that this display could be future-proof to the point where hardware in the coming years will go hand in hand with this fantastic display. On the odd chance, we managed to run an older game like Borderlands 2, which is not as demanding as the latest entry. It ran quite well on the display, and the GTX 1070 pushed it to around 120 frames per second. It looked superb. The display will breathe life into all games, both old and new. Then we have console support, which is another main feature of the display. It is a TV in theory, so you could use both consoles and PC. The experience is a lot less exciting when using consoles, as most of it is just plug in and play. However, the magic happens when you're playing a game that supports HDR and a higher frame rate. That game for us was Zombie Army 4, and it came to life on the display like never before. The high saturation, deep blacks and peak brightness scenes look absolutely stunning. The HDR is one thing, but it is all enhanced by the display's ability to peak at 1000 nits on bright objects and go completely black when a dark area appears. We then have the Xbox One X and its ability to output a variable refresh rate. It is a small feature, but a landmark for console gaming. In a nutshell, it means that the supported games will run smoother on the display, as the HDMI 2.1 port can work alongside the Xbox One X and the built-in chip to reduce screen tear and input lag. In some cases, games can also run at a higher frame rate than 60 FPS, and it all results in a smoother experience. It is the first next-gen feature we got to test on the display. The ASUS ROG Swift PG65UQ is fantastic, but it has some issues. Most of them relate to the display's quality of life or lack thereof. For starters, the display has a fan inside of it that never turns off unless you flick the power switch. I just don't understand why it would need a fan, in all honesty. Samsung has an 8K 75-inch TV on the market with barely any air vents and no fan at all. Surely, ASUS could have left this out. It is not the end of the world, but it does make a noticeable sound all the time. We then have the UI, which is just slow and buggy. Changing outputs is extremely sluggish, often leaving the display black for a few seconds while it flicks through the plugged-in devices. It is frustrating at times. Lastly, we have the lack of smart features and limited TV support. If you want to replace a TV, then you need these features such as auto power on, Dolby digital sound output, and some apps. It would have perfected the entire experience. The ASUS big format display is simply the best gaming display on the market. There's no getting around that fact. It is the ultimate device when it comes to technology and its features. To have a 65-inch 4K 144Hz HDR 1000 nit display in front of you is unbelievable, and it will bring a tear to any PC and console gamers' eye. Sure, it is lacking some great TV features, but there are always alternative devices for that. For 80,000 Rand, you cannot get a better display made for gaming, but you may need to mortgage your house for it. If you're interested in this device, ASUS claims it will soon be available by request only, and online retailers will take orders soon. But that's all our thoughts on the ASUS Republica Gamer Swift PG65UQ display. It is amazing. But what do you guys think? Let us know down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, farewell.